Hi all, it's Jim Pollen here to talk about EICR's Electrical Installation Condition Reports. Before we get into the following video, let's talk about what's happening in the real world. I'm going to start with comparing what we do to the testing of motor vehicles, the MOT. This is a legal requirement and the process is regulated and monitored to ensure that the testing follows a defined set of parameters. The mechanic is fully informed on such as the minimum depth of tread on a tyre and acceptable wear on brake pads. This is just to name 2 items on their checklist. In our world it's different. It's based on guidance given by BS 7671, which is non-statutory, although it does state in the guidance that it may be used in a court of law to prove compliance with a statutory requirement. In reality, this usually happens only when there is an incident, an accident, a death or damage to property. Just think of Grenfell. So in this first of a series of videos we will look at the basics and also highlight 2 common misconceptions. First of all, let's be clear regarding the difference between the EIC and the EICR. The EIC is a declaration by the designer, installer, inspector that the installation has been installed to the standard BS 7671. If it was a legal requirement for every installation to have a valid EIC, the process of providing EICRs at a later date would be so much simpler. The EICR is a report giving an opinion as to whether the installation is safe for continued use. When quoting for an EICR, always make sure the customer is aware of what the process is. The declaration signed by the electrician will give the date for the next test. This is subject to any necessary remedial work being completed. Once the report is submitted, there is no requirement to repeat the process, only to add the documentation for any remedial work done. Something often overlooked by those responsible for installations and those providing electrical services is the need to keep all relevant documentation regarding the installation. This ultimately is to the benefit of all. Unfortunately, although clearly stated on certificates and reports, not something that is always available. So, as previously stated, the purpose is to assess whether or not the installation can continue to be used safely. Is the safety of persons safe from electrical shock and burns? Is the property protected from fire? Is the installation damaged or deteriorated? And are there defects and departures from BS 7671 liable to cause danger? A reminder, it's not a fault-finding exercise. Sampling parts of the installation to assess the overall condition is an acceptable part of the process. A record of the past history will give a good indication of what to expect, and sampling is perfectly legitimate. However, when no documentation is available and no knowledge of who or how it was installed, we should be very wary of sampling. The flowchart shown indicates how sampling should be approached. For domestic and small similar installations, the walk round can be dispensed with. The following slides give guidance on sampling and notes on how to apply them. Some items, such as polarity, where valid EICs are available, are not subject to damage or deterioration, and testing can be minimal. The full list of recommendations are listed in Guidance Notes 3. One of the notes regarding testing indicates that in general accessibility may be considered to be within 3 meters from where a person can stand. The extent of the report, as the example shown, would be house only, not the outbuildings. Another example would be offices only in an industrial situation. A limitation is part of the installation within the extent of the report. A legitimate reason should be given for the limitation and agreed in conjunction with the person ordering the report. A recurring misconception is that the date of installation has an effect on the coding of non-compliances. Therefore, possibly the outcome of satisfactory or unsatisfactory. Apart from the date of the installation being possibly unavailable, this slide shows the unreasonableness of this line of thinking. In conclusion, when tendering a quote, include any relevant guidance. Once the report has been given to the customer, payment is due. The next step is up to the customer. The remedial work should be documented by whoever does it. This is the first video on the subject of EICRs. If you found this useful, please click the like button. Subscribe to see future videos on this and other subjects. And as always, leave comments. Thank you.